Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam's first canto, questions by the sages, chapter 1 of course, and text number 15. Yat pada sangstraya sutta munayak. Yeah, soon have to use both glasses again. Munaya prashtamayanaha sadya punanchupash sprishta svarduna ponusevaya. Translation. O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Pure devotees of the Lord are more powerful than the waters of the sacred river Ganges. One can derive spiritual benefit out of prolonged use of the Ganges waters, but one can be sanctified at once by the mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that any person, regardless of birth as Shudra, woman or merchant, can take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and by so doing can return to Godhead. To take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord means to take shelter of the pure devotees. The pure devotees, whose only business is serving, are honored by the names Prabhupada and Vishnupad, which indicate such devotees to be representatives of the lotus feet of the Lord. Anyone, therefore, who takes shelter of the lotus feet of a pure devotee by accepting the pure devotee as his spiritual master can be at once purified. Such devotees of the Lord are honored equally with the Lord because they are engaged in the most confidential service of the Lord. For they deliver out of the material world the fallen souls whom the Lord wants to return home back to Godhead. Such pure devotees are better known as wise lords according to revealed scriptures. The sincere disciple of the pure devotee considers the spiritual master equal to the Lord, but always considers himself to be a humble servant of the servant of the Lord. This is the pure devotional path. Yat pada sangshaya sutta munayak prashamayanaha sadya punanchupasprishtaha svarduna ponusevaya. O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. Om Ajnanatimiranda Shagyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahoritao Gaudadai Pushpavantao Chidrao Shandao Tumonadao. So, today we're hearing about the subject matter of the Guru. This subject matter is called Guru Tattva. And as explained previously, the word Tattva can refer both means truth, and it can also means principle or category of knowledge. Now yesterday there was one clear Tattva, Nam Tattva. We so nicely heard about the holy name and the progressive stages through the holy name. And so different kinds of knowledge are there in the Bhakti Shastras, and they are called tattvas. Guru tattva, Nam tattva, so many different kinds of tattva, prayojana tattva, abhideya tattva, and so on. So today is about the spiritual master, and the guru is most essential in spiritual life. Like Srila Prabhupada explained here, the Lord wants all the living entities to return back home to Him, and the spiritual master is a vehicle to do that. And then he explains this is a pure devotional path. So Guru Vashraya, taking shelter of the spiritual master, is most essential. Something you cannot do without. It's not optional. It's not, well, you can accept the spiritual master or not. No, you have to accept the shelter of a spiritual master. And that spiritual master is, the term we use, bona fide, has to be bona fide, means authentic, authorized. You cannot accept anyone who is not authorized, which was also explained in, not yesterday, the day before. The guru has to be bona fide and the sampradaya has to be bona fide, otherwise there's no potency. So it's a must. You can't do without it, and we hear this throughout the Shastra, the Vedas. So many verses we know, like in the Shrutis. It's explained in the Upanishads, several places. We know the verses Tat Vijnanartham Sagurum Iva Bigachet. So Artham means that which is desirable. Vijnanartham, Tat Vijnana means, Vijnana means realized knowledge, wisdom. When the knowledge penetrates the heart, it's not only theoretical any longer. So that artha, the Vijnana artha, that is Sagurum Iva Bigachet, that is given by the Guru. And in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, the first verse was from the Mundaka Upanishad, and this is from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Yasha Devi Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Devi Tata Gurau Tasyaiti Katatar Yarita Prakashante Mahatmana. That explains that only to those fortunate souls, great souls, the Mahatmas, who have taken shelter of who has implicit faith in both Krishna and the Guru, only to such great souls do the imports of the Vedas become revealed. So through knowledge, through the Vedas, all the amazing knowledge in the Vedic literatures, we understand the process by which to obtain perfection. So understanding that knowledge is revealed when you have implicit faith. So that deep shraddha in both Krishna and the Guru has to be there. And when you have that implicit faith, no doubt whatsoever, then this becomes revealed. We also know that mystical process from explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Aham agyana, how is it? Aham agyana jam tamaha. I forgot exactly the verse. Yes, Hameva. Yeah, exactly. So Krishna, from within, he reveals the knowledge to the devotees. So Krishna is situated in the heart, and he lets that knowledge penetrate by his grace when we have the proper qualification. So implicit faith is so important, and that's explained in this verse from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. And also in the Chandogya Upanishad, it's explained Acharyavan Purusha Veda. That Acharya is being used more or less synonym as with Guru. So Acharya, he who teaches by example. So Acharyavan, Van means possessing, like in the word Bhagavan, which is the name of the Supreme Lord. Bhaga means opulences, Van possessing. So he who possesses all opulences, that is Krishna. So here it's Acharyavan, he who possesses Acharya, he who has accepted the Guru. For such a Purusha Veda, the Vedas, becomes automatically revealed. The Absolute becomes revealed to he who has accepted Guru, is the translation. So, and finally also, and the verse we learn very quickly when we take up the path of devotional service in ISKCON at least is the Bhagavad Gita verse 4:34. Tatvidi pranipatina pariprashanina sevaya upadekshantite jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. So you have darshana of jnana. You get spiritual knowledge when you approach a spiritual master and have the right qualifications in approaching the spiritual master, which is pariprashanina and sevaya, service and submissive inquiry. So throughout the Vedas, the importance of accepting a guru is there, and that guru has to be bona fide, preferably an uttam adhikari, and that's what's generally described in the Vedas. These great souls are on the highest platform of spiritual life, and it's recommended to seek such a person. But also you can accept from the lower platform, from Madhyam, the middle platform, and even from the Kanishta platform. But the problem is you can't really advance further than the level of your guru. So the real desirable thing is to get the shelter of such a spiritual master and seek him out. So that's absolutely necessary. That's the system Krishna has given. You cannot approach Krishna directly. It's not possible. In this day and age, people are so puffed up, like, it's, I don't need any authority. I can do myself. And also they take that over to spiritual life. They have that in material life. They don't need anyone, And so in the spiritual field, we see so many say, I'm my own guru. They take a little from here, a little there, whatever, and they mix it all together and add some whatever spice from someone else, and then they have their own unique path. They need to be unique. So anyway, this is the illusion of Maya. But in the Shastra, it's very, very clear. You cannot approach Krishna without the guru. You cannot go directly. Krishna does not accept that. So you have to go through his dear servant. Like anything in this material world, if you want to approach a very big person, you don't go directly. If you want to approach any head of state, you cannot just grab the whatever, I'm coming in 2 hours, please leave a little space and I'll come. No, you have to go through so many channels and secretaries and whatever. You cannot approach directly. So if this goes for any ordinary person, or ordinary, of course they have, but any conditioned soul in the post of a prime minister or a king or whatever, if that goes for any conditioned soul in this world, what's to speak of the spiritual of Krishna, who is unlimitedly powerful, influential? No, you have to go through the proper channel. So that is so much stressed in the Vedas. And then the example is given that taking shelter of such a pure soul, you can obtain the lotus feet of the Lord. You can become sanctified immediately and obtain the lotus feet of the Lord very quickly. Whereas being in touch with Mother Ganga, the sacred water of the Ganges, you also get sanctified, you get purified, but only after prolonged use. So the Ganges water, or any holy river in India, in connection with Krishna, that purifies. And even once you bathe, that is purifying and you get some lasting benefit. But the real purification only takes place after prolonged use. So you only get a little purified by bathing in the Ganges. But by approaching an Uttam Adhikari, a very intimate servant of the Lord, you can get a lot of purification in once. And you can obtain all perfection just by a short fraction of association with such a advanced servant. We know from the Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, this verse, Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So Sarva Siddhi, all perfection, is obtained by even Lava Matra. Lava is a very short, a very small fraction of time, just like a moment. So we have seconds, minutes, hours, etc. So in Sanskrit terms you have other terms, and lava is very, very small. So you can get by sadhu sangha, sadhu sapa, the association of sadhus. And these sadhus are not just like any ordinary sadhu walking around with a lota, whatever, in India, and so many sadhus. These are like the uttamadikaris, very advanced sadhus. So such a sadhu, even if you're together with them for a short minute, that can bring you so much benefit. Like people who met Srila Prabhupada, even they remembered like all these 50 years after he made such a deep impression. So that means, so even if you associate him very, very shortly, even that impression, that purification obtains, can make you start your spiritual life like that. You get so much benefit from it. So the possibility is there that you can get everything just by that short association. So it's most powerful. So bathing in the Ganges is very nice. It not only purifies you, but also makes you spiritual advanced. But if you really want to get a lot of benefit from it, you have to do it for a long time. But just approaching a very advanced devotee, you can just do a little association, and it brings even more benefit than prolonged bathing in the Ganges. So that's why it's stressed there. It's another very wonderful verse also in the Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, explaining how the living entity wanders throughout the universes in different species of life, from the higher planets to the lower planets. And that jiva, of course, is not someone else. When we hear that, that's us actually. We are the jiva, unlimited jivas. So by the going from higher planets, taking birth among the devas, and even going down to hellish planets. So we've gone through unlimited lifetimes. But someone who is very fortunate, Bhagyavan, say, Brahmanda Brahmiti Konya Bhagavan Ji, Guru Krishna Prasad Bhai, Bhakti Lada Beach. So we are going through the Brahmandas, all these different universes, not only one universe, so many universes since time immemorial, through all the different species, between the higher and the lower species, so many species. So the jiva is going through all these different species. But someone who's bhagyavan, again we have the word van, possessing, bhagya, fortune, someone who's possessing fortune, he'll get the association of the representative of Krishna, the Guru. And by the grace of the Guru, and he gets Krishna. And by the grace of both Krishna and Guru, he gets Bhakti Lada Beach. He gets the beach, the seed of devotion to Krishna, by the combination of both Guru and Krishna. So that's a Bhagyavan, that's a very fortunate soul. So for those of us who get in contact with such a soul, we are Bhagyavan, we are most fortunate. So we don't always kind of appreciate and understand that, how fortunate we actually are, because we have obtained the darshan of Prabhupada, even though we didn't meet him in person. We came too late for that, but we have Srila Prabhupada in all his amazing purports in the Shastra, all the translations he made. We have so much footage of Srila Prabhupada. We have the living representatives of Srila Prabhupada in the form of all Srila Prabhupada's disciples. All the nice Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis around the world still living, and they give their association, and by being in contact with them and hearing about their personal, direct relationship with Srila Prabhupada, that association is very strongly felt. Like we see so many on the internet, there's so many recollections of those disciples' relationship to Srila Prabhupada. We have like the memories, Prabhupada memories, so many, all these different Srila Prabhupada female disciples and male disciples, they are giving their realizations and their experiences of Srila Prabhupada. And then we kind of feel it very strongly. So in that sense, we have Srila Prabhupada's association. We got the bija of pure bhakti through Srila Prabhupada by being born so shortly after Srila Prabhupada, during Srila Prabhupada's manifest time, and getting in contact with the devotees, and thereby Srila Prabhupada and his god brothers and so many other in our line, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, Gaurikishore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and all these great acharyas in the line of the cyclic succession. So we are Bhagyavan actually, we are very, very fortunate. And we have to actually understand that very deeply, because we see that relatively, not, it's all relative how many approach, but of those who come to Krishna consciousness and take up the process of devotional service, which of course are very few compared to how many human beings on this planet, but of those who come, actually the majority leaves again after some time, even though they obtain, they get diksha, they follow the process, and they, even for quite some years, but then again they leave. So then they become unfortunate, because they have the greatest possibility, but for whatever reason, they give up the process again, either fully or partially. Many, of course, who leave, they keep Krishna in their heart to some extent, and I would say most of them, they keep Krishna there, and on some level they might still be practicing or whatever, to some little extent. And others, they kind of give it up completely and try to drown out. They try to push out Krishna and Prabhupada, whatever, from their hearts by drowning themselves in sense gratification on different levels. Very hard, but that's what they do. And if they want to do it, Krishna kinds of, okay, that's what you want, then he allows them to become covered over. And then, of course, in some later lifetime, if they're very fortunate later in this lifetime or in some other lifetime, they will again pick up devotional life. We know that. Yahabhikramanashusti pratyavayo navidyate, isn't that? Or am I citing the wrong one? The wrong verse. No, the right verse, sorry, yeah. So at one point, whatever you obtain in this lifetime, that's never lost. It'll be manifested again in some lifetime. But who wants to take the risk? Who wants to take the risk of this Kali Yuga is progressing so rapidly now? Things are getting so hellish. And leaving Krishna consciousness, the process of bhakti, and say, I start at one point, I'll get back to it. Now I just want to enjoy a little in this material world. Now we got all the great technological stuff, all the virtual reality we can game, and we can be in our own world, and whatever sense gratification is all available now. We don't have to do whatever austerities to get it. It's so easily available. Internet, you can get all the sense gratification, all the movies, whatever, all the beautiful women, is all there. So I'll take it up in a later lifetime. But that's a big gamble. Because, by bad association, you can become so covered that you won't take it up for a long time. And we know there's a, what's it called? There's a break, there's a little bubble in this age of Kali. 10,000 years of the golden age. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his mercy, the golden age will come, I'll take birth next lifetime, we'll take it up again, and then it's much more easy, because the golden age is more, developed, it'll be easier. But that may not happen. And those 10,000 years, if you go down, you even take a lower birth. If you would do that by insisting on, heavy whatever sense, may become very sinful again. That's also possible. By bad association, by great apparats to devotees. So you may lose your human form of life, and it takes a long time to again develop the human form of life, and then the 10,000 years are gone. And then it's impossible to obtain Krishna. So it's a big gamble. So we should not gamble. We should understand deeply with our intelligence that this is the greatest opportunity we obtained. We are Bhagyavan, actually. We shouldn't waste it. So, I just want to read, to round up this lecture, I want to read a little. This is not from a controversial, it is from a controversial book, but the topic is not here. It's actually It's about bona fide spiritual masters, actually, and the history of ISKCON, the nearest history. But there's a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam here I found the other day. I finished the book yesterday. And there's a very nice verse on the subject. So that's why I kept it here. I didn't have the 9th canto at hand, so I read from here. It's quite small font, so I have to make sure I get the light in here. So this explains about the relationship between Krishna and his pure devotee, the Guru, and why the Guru is so important, and why we can't circumvent that link, but we have to accept shelter of the pure devotee. And here we can understand more why we should do it. So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam 9th canto, chapter 4, and this is a conversation or whatever between Vishnu, Lord Narayan, and the great sage Durvasa Muni. So the Supreme Narayan is speaking here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmins, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent, because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires. I sit only within the core of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. O best of the Brahmins, without saintly persons, for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy. My transcendental bliss and my supreme opulences. Since pure devotees give up their homes, wives, children, relatives, riches, and even their lives simply to serve me, without any desire for material improvement in this life or in the next, how can I give up such devotees at any time? As chaste women bring their gentle husbands under control by service, the pure devotees who are equal to everyone and completely attached to me in the core of their heart, bringing me under their full control. So this is quite amazing, right? Krishna's relationship with his pure devotees, it's so deep. So in this way it's easy to understand why you cannot approach Krishna directly. You have to go through that person that's being described here. So this is amazing how much love Krishna has for his pure devotees. So we should by all means endeavor to find such a living spiritual master, and in the case, because they're very difficult to find, they are very rare in this world. So if we cannot find such a most qualified person, then in the meantime we take shelter in the Shastra, we take shelter in Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas which are there in the books, and in the association, of course, of sincere devotees. And this is and one point we may meet such a highly elevated soul, and that's up to our sincerity and up to Krishna's mercy, but at least we always have the pure devotees in the written form, so we should study them very carefully and follow them in the association of like-minded, serious devotees. Thank you very much for your attention. Any questions, comments? Prabhuji?
So we hear that just by taking prasadam you are assured a human form. But still, as you mentioned, if you live very sinful, even then maybe you can... my question is, can you, even you've taken prasadam, maybe even read Srila Prabhupada's books and been a devotee, if you live very sinfully afterwards, are you still assured a human form? Are you still assured becoming a devotee? And as you mentioned in Happy-Kraman, that you continue next life. Is that assured, or can you live so sinfully that it's that you're not assured?
Well, that's ultimately up to Krishna, because it's a personal thing. Like, yeah, my understanding is devotees who have been engaged in devotional service, they are guaranteed a human form again. So whether you can lose that by being so sinful, well, that's ultimately up to Krishna. But in general, yes, devotees will again obtain the next chance, next lifetime, because we know you start off from where you left generally. So if you develop, like to say, whatever 5% advancement towards the goal in this lifetime, next lifetime you'll start with 6%. That's how it's explained. So my understanding is, yes, you will get the human form in next life. You have, but maybe there's no absolute guarantee. If you really want to live, like if you really want to develop the consciousness of whatever, a hog, you just want to eat anything, you just want to have sex with whatever, moves. Like some people are like that today. The consciousness gets so low. So if you insist on that, then the human form is not proper. Then you may become a pigeon, or you may become a hog, or whatever. That's what normally happens. So, is there a guarantee for a devotee? If a devotee sinks so low, up to Krishna, I can say. But in general, you will get a human form, but maybe if you really get low, you may lose that opportunity. There's no absolute guarantee, as I understand it. Yes.
Could it be similar to if you hear like people living in Vrindavan, if they commit sinful activities, they become monkeys or
Yes.
dogs or hogs?
Yes.
Could it be that they take a temporary low-born life and then suffer that consequence and then continue from there? Maybe that could be.
Could be. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But we know, yes, in Vrindavan, people who live in the holy dham, they're elevated souls. But they say if they live like whatever monkeys, then they take birth either as monkeys or hogs or the other animals, and that's one lifetime. Then they have to suffer one lifetime in that body, and then they go back home to God. But that's in Vrindavan. That rule is not for whatever Manstrup or Aalborg or Copenhagen. That's Vrindavan. So
even though maybe to comment on that could be a discussion that, like Prabhupada says, all the temples are practically like Vrindavan. So anyway, that's maybe a side point.
Yeah. But also, who keeps living in the temple? Mm-hmm. That's only for a few years people are living in the temple. Right?
So this is a temple, so we are very lucky one.
Yeah. So.
I was thinking about this comment that Srila Prabhupada, he said that if the Christians are following Lord Jesus Christ, then what is the possibility to be without a guru? So, if Srila Prabhupada, he's of course a pure devotee, he's a bona fide acharya. The other acharyas has a reference to his dealings and what he was about to do before he did so. And so I'm thinking that the pure devotee is so powerful. He's even with reference to Haridas Thakur, he's even more powerful, or he overrules the wishes of Lord Krishna himself. When Srila Haridas Thakur, he prays when he's whipped on the marketplaces, he prays to preserve and protect the person who whips him. What is it called? Bull?
Yeah, when he's torturer. Yeah,
he's torturers. So in this way he protects him, and I think that if Srila Prabhupada he will pray to protect the devotees, then even Krishna cannot, go against the wishes of a pure devotee. So if Srila Prabhupada he will see and recognize our service, will he not try to preserve us or keep us until there'll be a time where we can devote ourselves to someone who is showing the same kind of either faithfulness to Srila Prabhupada as he did unto his guru, although he's not really qualified as Srila Prabhupada, or another bona fide acharya who will appear. That's my question. And how long should we be ready to wait? And can we just wait throughout this lifetime safely and devote ourselves purely to Srila Prabhupada, or should we really be engaged to look for another guru because we have to take diksha, or are we a siksha parampara also, and is it safe to just vouch for Srila Prabhupada throughout this lifetime? Can you comment on this? It's a very long question, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's a controversial subject, and we know the society, Hare Krishna society, has become divided on this basis. Guru Tattva is so continually being discussed and debated, and there's no clear understanding. That's why we have so many splits, and we have the whole Ritvik very big split. So many consider that because they consider there are no such actually qualified gurus, and thus we simply should take shelter of Prabhupada also by initiation. So their idea is that we can become direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada via Ritvik, via representatives. But that's not actually in the Shastras. We do not accept that. We have to take shelter of a living guru.
Yes.
Right. Someone who's physically present. And like the Christians, you mentioned the Christians. Like, yes, you can say Lord Jesus Christ was the Sampradaya Acharya. He was founding that religion. But you have to still take direct guidance in the process by a living saint within that tradition. So they're all kind of Ritviks. No, I just have Jesus Christ, no one else. But we don't say that. Then, any bhakta could come and, I'm a disciple of Narada Muni. I'm actually more advanced in one sense than all of you because I'm a disciple of Narada. Or Brahma, Lord Brahma, or We cannot do that. We cannot jump and go to the previous acharyas. Yes, for shiksha we can do.
Yeah.
But diksha we cannot. We have to take diksha from a physical, manifest guru. And also it's said that when you're really sincere, Krishna will lead you to such a person. So the question is, are we actually sincere enough? In my personal opinion, I understand the arguments like from the Ritviks. I do not accept their the conclusion because it's not there in the Shastra. It's on a very thin basis. They base it on some letters, what happened in Prabhupada, whatever. But it's not there in Shastra. No. Prabhupada never stated that. So it's kind of frustration. They're frustrated with all what happened in ISKCON after, and basis of this, whatever. My personal opinion is you have actually qualified spiritual masters. There are very few, and I'm not mentioning any names. No. But I see, and still even working within the parameters of the present ISKCON society, in the present institution, there are at least one person I would say, without any doubt, I would say is a pure devotee. I met him also 2 years ago, again in Vrindavan, and and he stands out completely from the rest. I'm not mentioning any names, but that was such an impression. So it was just humility and transcendental was just emanating from him. You could just see it's not completely different from all the. Now I shouldn't generalize, but some present gurus are even like what do you call this? Scene diving. They like on the scene, they dance, do all kinds of wild thing, and then they do this jumping out into the crowd. So many, and you see with all the rock stars and whatever they call stave diving or whatever they call it, and all these crazy things and so much going on, And now there are other devotees also, I would say, are qualified, not on the highest platform, but on lower platform that are sincere like that. So we can also take shelter like from a Madhyam Adhikari, and I think such persons do exist. But again, he might be out there in one, but we're just not ready for it yet. So if we're actually sincere, we might find him. But even if we find such a person like this person I was mentioning, without name, like, he's there, and I would be completely confident taking shelter of him, but it's also like a personal choice. It also have to do, like, you can say, with whatever, what do we call this, chemistry or whatever. You have to feel like, and language and culture. There's different things. So that's why I'm not just going there, because I'm completely convinced he's a pure devotee. So anyway, sorry, I don't know if that was a proper answer, but at least it was on the lines.
But those who have been initiated before and their guru falls down, or that is their conclusion, even though it's not, blueprinted by ISKCON institution that person is fallen, then we can conclude. So they will take reinitiation, or would it be more safe for them to return to Srila Prabhupada, or would you always recommend reinitiation? Because you need this Diksha Guru. And then another question, if I may, that if our meditation and our dedication will follow as if we are addressing the demigods, we will go to the round of the demigod, and if we're addressing Srila Prabhupada, would we not be able to follow him in another lifetime if we dedicate ourselves to him completely, because he's also an eternal servant of Srila Prabhupada? So that's two questions.
Well, I'm not sure about this. I understand the second question. But the first question, let me take that. Yeah. It's stated, I forgot who it is, but it's recommended by one of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as far as I know, or coming shortly after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I forgot his name. There's a recommendation, if you have a fallen guru, that you take reinitiation. Yeah. Because it's a kind of living relationship, and you take guidance from a person, who's living, who's manifest. And actually the gurus in general, they do not have like 3, 4, 5, 10,000 disciples, because it's a person with, they're guiding them personally. And how can you do that when you have so many disciples? It's impossible. Some of these gurus today, they don't know the names of all their disciples. How can you do that if you have like just a few thousand disciples? It's like impossible. What to speak of, there's one who has like 50,000. Like, of course, he's outstanding in terms of numbers, but you can't do that. So that's why traditionally, you see the Vedic version, the guru didn't have so many disciples, because he had to guide them personally. You could approach him, and he was teaching them in different, aspects of devotional service. So that's recommended. So if your guru fell down, like in the case of some of us, yes, it's recommended you take reinitiation. And personally, I would like to do that, but I just haven't found him yet. So I'm kind of taking trying now to take shiksha from other living gurus, like instructions. Shiksha means instructions. But I would also like to take reinitiation actually, and considering it, but it still has to be someone you're completely convinced, who's not going to fall down again, and who is strict, and who doesn't, want to accept any changes to Srila Prabhupada's books and like that. So, yes, so it's recommended. The second question, maybe you could try to explain it kind of more concisely, because I really didn't understand it.
If a person or a specific soul feels that they are attached to Srila Prabhupada in a way that they cannot depart from him and take on another guru, would it be possible that they could, join with him in another life?
Possible.
Is there any descriptions of this?
Yes, everything is possible. That is possible. I wouldn't say it's impossible. Yes, if you're so attached to Prabhupada and you're really thinking a lot about Srila Prabhupada, Krishna could easily make you next lifetime get into the association of Srila Prabhupada. Yes, that's possible. But I cannot find any like shastric or or even, you know, whatever letters from Srila Prabhupada. I haven't heard that, not that I recall,
Yeah.
but I would say yes, because Krishna is in the heart, and if that's your desire, it's so prominent at the time of death. If you think about Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee, you would get his association. So yes, I would say that's possible. But again, it's kind of maybe a little gambling.
That's also my speculation. I am calculating to stay here for many lifetimes, so why not? Why not?
Better not stay here too long. Better, you know, better take a living guru, go for that. But if not, yes, the possibility is there. Okay, that was quite some time with the question. No problem. It's a weekend today, so we got more time, hopefully. Thank you very much for your attention. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.